So the next topic for this week's session is highlight data. And what is a highlighter? Turning on the highlighter for one or more dimension values according to the view will show you what that particular highlighted data by dimming out all the other contents on the view. You can easily search keywords by just typing on the highlighter mark card you have on the right side of the view, and you can pinpoint the view whatever you want to highlight to the final users. This highlighter immediately highlights the mark that match or partially match with your keyword search. You just have to, like in this view for example, we have all the countries on the map. I'm just trying to search for India. It tries out to dim out all the other content on the map, and it will totally focus on the India's version. This is what a highlighter does for us. So the next one would be about context filters. So context filter stays in the order of operations. Context filter stays in the third place. And if you have a large amount of data, you might want to explore your data interactively, right? So whenever you filter, all the process rows in your data is filtered according to the order of a process. Making a filter to a context will create a subset of data. This context filter is actually known as an independent filter. So whenever a context filter is applied, all the other filters will be totally dependent on your context filter, because it will create a subset of data, and in this subset of data all the other filters will be applied. So in this view, you can see how you can add a filter to a context by just clicking on the filter and add to context. What context filter does to your view is it can improve performance. So if there are like a lot of filters on your view and if your data is huge, the queries running at the backend can be slow. So if you set one of your filter to the context filter, this will create a subset of data, and all your performance will be depend upon that one particular subset of data. So other filters which you have will be totally depend on it. So what kind of cases in where you will be using these context filters? We can use it in top 10 filter, like setting the context filter to only the top 10 products or top 10 consumers will create a subset of data for top 10 consumers or top 10 products. Later you can build the view according to that subset of data. So to just check how this highlighting in context will work, we will quickly go back to our tool and see how this works. Okay, so if you have Superstore sample has a limited set of data, but if you have a large amount of data, you might want to explore your data interactively, and you wanted to show some specific points to your advisors to pinpoint on them. You can use this highlighting option while still maintaining the context of where those marks show in your view. So to do this, you can turn on the highlighter for one or more discrete fields. You can use one or more discrete fields in your highlighter to include that in your view, and this will affect the level of detail of your view. You can use keywords to search matching data points. The highlighter immediately highlights them and shows you the whatever the keyword you searched for. And if you update the underlying data source for your view, the data shown in the highlighter will be automatically updated. Okay, let's build a view to actually see how this highlighter works. I am dragging profits into the rows and some discount into my columns, and we will be getting a scatter plot, and this is only one point coming up because we have two measures pointed out. So I'm just dragging up a product name into the detail, and I'll be getting this kind of view. Make it colorful. Let's say drag segment onto the color, so we'll 3 colors. And what if I want to highlight one particular data set? So what I will do is I will quickly add the highlighter to whatever discrete dimension I wanted to add it to. A quick note to remember in this case is you can add the highlighters from as many as discrete fields you want, but if you're adding them onto the dashboards or stories, this is the worksheet we are looking right now, but if you want to add them onto your dashboards or stories, them on your worksheet first before adding them to your dashboards. So if you want to add them onto the dashboards, you can go to this analysis pane over here and click on highlighters. It will show what are the available discrete values you have on the view, and you can start highlighting those. And if you want to select on one particular discrete value, I just selected segment over here, and the highlight card will look like this. It will come to your right corner because we are on the worksheet, and you can search whatever all the values inside that particular discrete value will be displayed like this, and you can either search the value, or if you have only 3 to 4 contents, you can select it like this. It will highlight whatever you want to see on the view. Let's say I'm just selecting corporate. Corporate will be in orange, marks will be highlighted. Let's say I want to highlight home office. Home office is coming in red, and you can actually see all the red dots on your view. So highlighters work across all the worksheets on a dashboard if the same field is included across the worksheets. If you add highlighter in one particular worksheet, and if you have the same field in the other worksheet, you can access this highlighter in the other worksheet also. If not, the same field is used and there is no match found in the highlighted value, this will all the other values will be dimmed out. Okay, if you have multiple highlighters on your dashboard, only one highlighter can be active at one time. Remember this point, but if you have multiple highlighters on your view, only one highlighter will work at that particular point. This is one way of adding the highlighter to your view. There is one more way which we can where we can add the highlighting to our views. Let's take an example of, we have an order date, we have sales, and let's create some detailed view. We have this subcategory as well. Let's make it to the entire view to look at all the lines, and I'm just dragging the subcategory also onto the color, and we have got this many subcategories, and I want to make this subcategory to actually highlight. I'll click on this arrow in my marks card, and we will see this show highlighter option here. This is the same way of adding the highlighter from the analysis pane in here, but you can also add the highlighter from here, and you can do the same process of highlighting one particular line or value in here. See, even if I hover on it, it will just highlight that data, actually look at that one particular line, and if you click on it, that will be static and it will be showing up there. This is how we do highlighting on a view. There is one more option called highlighting highlighter action, we call it as. So if you want to add some action to your highlighting, let's say I'm taking this out. Okay, let's see it. Okay, if I want to add some kind of action on my highlighting view, drag a dimension. See, I just added a subcategory to my label part, and here's how we see the labels, right? And this one will actually show all the labels it has. Now what I will do is, I want to see only these labels. When I hover on them or when I click on them, then only it has to appear. Otherwise it has to go blind. So what I will do is, right now I'm in the worksheet. So I'll be going to the worksheet option over here. I'll click on actions. I will select action as highlight. These are highlighter actions. We will be talking about actions into a deeper level in our coming sessions, but let's see how do we highlight actions over here. Add highlight action, because sheet 6 is our name, that's why it is showing as sheet 6. We can still rename, let's say I'm renaming my sheet as highlight. Now I'm going to apply my actions. highlight, and this will show as highlight because I just renamed it, and I wanted to see my data whenever I hover on that particular line. So I'm just clicking on hover here. So the target sheet and source sheet are the same because I'm running the action on the same sheet. I'll click on OK. If I just click on that, particular text is highlighted. See, all the other values are actually dimmed out, and it is only showing me binders in here because I'm actually hovering on binders. This is how you add a action highlight and while you want to hover, but there is an other option. You just have to click on it and you can get that highlighting option. See, clicking on it, you will get that highlight option, on all the others will be dimmed out. This is one action you can do in highlight, and there are other processes also to use this highlight actions. Let's say that we have the same view in the form of a table, and I want to actually highlight my table whenever I click on something. So I will use the same process. I will use select over here. If I click on 2014, all the 2014 values will be highlighted with dimming all the other values because we had an action running up for that one column. If you just go with this 2015 also, it will actually highlight the same and all the others will be dimmed out. Okay, let's better understand it in a different way. So we just saw how to actually highlight according to the discrete dimensions, right? So what if I have measures and I wanted to highlight measures from it? So okay, let's take a bit more data. Let's take, I took subcategory and profit and order date, and I want to highlight my data according to the measures. So right till now we actually saw how to make it in all discrete values. I'm just going to take this measure and say I want to highlight this in the form of measures. For that, I will be going into the text. So I will make this a bar chart, and let's say we want to highlight the options based on the measure values. Okay, this is a bar chart. So I just drag the profit over here so we get the axis and we see the bars. In here we have text labels, profit in the text labels, right? So in the text labels we will get this option and click on highlighted. Okay, if you click on highlighted over here, all your text labels will actually disappear even if the text labels are on. But when you click on whatever year you want to see, you can see the text labels appearing for one particular year. Let's say I just clicked on 2014. This will actually show the labels only for one particular year I just clicked on. If you just unclick it, all the labels will be gone, and if you just click on the other year, that labels will come up and all the others will be grayed out. This is how the highlighted action works on the measure labels. We saw how to do that on the discrete, on adding actions, on adding a show highlighted version in our views. This is how you do with the measures. When you want to highlight the data, you just go here to the text labels and click on the highlighted versions. If you just remove it also, you will get this highlighted option and you can do the same, but just make sure that you have the access over here, and it will be like mark labels for the profit should be on, because yeah, this is not displaying when you highlight the data because the mark labels are not pointed out here like text labels. So the text labels for here is mandatory, and if you check on it, it will highlight the data, and if you do not have anything over here and if you only have bars, it will highlight the data for sure because this in this text label this is highlighted, right? So this will definitely highlight it, but it will not show the mark labels. But if you have mark labels over here, the highlighted ones will have these. So this is about highlighting your data, and the next topic for us would be context filters and how to use these context filters. So as we already discussed that the context filters are independent filters and all the other filters you have on the data will be dependent on these filters for the process. So first process, the context filter will be applied and all other filters will be applied after that. This will create an improvement in your performance, and whenever you want to create a subset of data, you can use this context filters. So how to create this context filters? Let's say we have a view of, we'll take category, also take subcategory and sales. So this is our view. So we want to create some filters also. Let's take category onto our filter. Okay, all, and let's also take subcategory onto the filter. Okay, I got this. And if you have let's say some products under the subcategory, product name is really high, so it will ask to if you want to add all the members or not. Okay, we have got this view and we have got a large set of amount of data on our view. Right now, what we want to say is we want to only show one particular category, and we want to actually remove furniture and technology from our view. So this one actually shows the data what it has from the office supplies, right? This is kind of filtering tool we do to keep only or exclude the data. But if you want to add this context, filter to context filter, just click on this arrow button and say add to context. This one will actually add your filter to the context one and create a subset of data for only office supplies. This one will have this backend subset of data, and all the other filters you work on, let's say we have a filter on subcategory, only will show the values which has that data. Let's say it has only this data, and the office supplies data only will be filtered out. It will be easy for us to improve the performance also if we have only one particular data to work on. So how to add a filter to the context filter, and we get options to actually remove that context filter from the context. This is like making that filter like an ordinary filter and removing that from the context. And you can completely remove the filter from the category, and you can also edit the filter by clicking on edit. These are the options you will get with the context filters. To speed up this context filters to improve the performance of them, using a single context filter that significantly reduces the size of data is much better than applying many context filters. If you have this one particular subset of data, just use one context filter and create a subset of data and work on your process. Complete all your data modeling before using a context, because changes in the data model will be changing the dimensions and measures. So it requires recomputing of your data. So whenever you're starting with your data model, complete your data model first and come back to the context filters. So set the necessary filters for the context and create the context before adding fields to the other shells. So you have to set your context first, and you can add your fields onto your shells later. If you want to set a context filter on a date, you can use a continuous date. However, using this date bins like year date or context filters on discrete dates are very effective. It says that if you have a date as a context filter, let's make it continuous, because this one will improve your process. And using date bins in the sense the year date or context filter on discrete dates are very effective. That means that whenever you have a discrete value for the bins or your dates, they can be very effective. Okay, let's take an example to understand its context filter better, and when to use this context filter, how is this context filter running at the back end, and what are the real-time issues you face with this context filter. Let's take our data and use subcategory as our view and just take sales, and we will see the bar content. Let's sort the data to actually look it into a nice view. So okay, we will now create a top 10 filter. We will just take the top 10 filter based upon the subcategory. Let's take subcategory into our filters, and we will create a top value for this field by clicking on top 10 customers by subcategory, and we can do it on sales. The aggregation would be sum. Okay, let's click on apply. So right now, what is it showing? It is only showing 10 marks, and we already know this is a top 10 filter, and this one would be showing the top 10 values from the subcategory when you click on the sales. So now let's add another filter to show only furniture products. Okay, we are taking the category and we are saying, okay, let's take only furniture. Right now we are only seeing 3 values. Why is it not showing top 10? Because we actually created a subcategory filter for the top 10 values, right? But why it is not showing is because top 10 filter is still top 10 and it is actually categorized according to the subcategory. So it will pick up the top 10 from the subcategory, which also includes everything from the category. But whenever you filter on category for furniture, in that top 10, it will filter out the furniture values, and it will give you only we have to add this category to the context. See, we have got 4. I mean, right now, what it is showing is, it is showing the top 10 values under subcategory for furniture. But why is it not showing 10? It is only showing 4. Why? Because we know this top 10 filter is only evaluated based upon the subcategory, right? So the subcategory top 10, this subcategory has only 4 marks related to the furniture. That's why it is only showing 4. Under furniture, the subcategory has only 4 contents for it. So whatever 4 contents are there, it is picking up everything for the category. That's why it is only showing 4. We have seen an example how this context filter works, but let's see an example where will be the real case scenario of why we will be using the context filter. Okay, let's take an example of the sales again. Let's say we have sales and we have some product names. Okay, let's swap our column so it will be horizontal. We have some of sales based upon the subcategory. And now we have to add subcontext filter to actually pick up some top 10 values or something like that. Just say pick up the subcategory filter and drag onto the filters, say top 10 by field, sum of sales. Okay, let's drag product name and pick up top 10 products by sales. Okay, we have got 10 marks. What if we have other filter, let's say subcategory, okay, use all. So we will just show this filter and see how it works. We have 10 marks right now. And what if I just filter on one particular set of data? I'm just picking up envelopes, papers. I'm still not getting any values. Okay, I clicked on supplies and I've got only one value under it. And I clicked on tables. Okay, still no data. Because there are no products under top 10 for this for whatever I'm clicking on, so it is not displaying my values, because it will consider every row, every product name picks up the top 10 products from them. Subcategory filter is working after picking up the top 10, it is working after that. And this one will only show the values which are present in that particular top 10 because the product name is coming up first, right? This means how is it working at the back end? So right now we have sales product name in our view, and the product name filter is in our top 10. So top 10 will be looking at all the products and it will look at all the sales. It will select from 1 to 10 in your data and display the product. That is your first filter. Later on, you applied subcategory and you're selecting some values. Or Tableau will understand it. Okay, I will bring some values who are associated in that particular subcategory, but I will only search in the top 10. That's why it is bringing up only 2 values even though I've selected so many options over here. Let's say what happens when I add this subcategory to my context. So it is displaying 10 values right now. What's happening right now is the subcategory is added to context. That means the subcategory filter will be first, and whatever you add the check marks to your subcategory will be your subset of data. And that subset of data will be filtered to the product name top 10 list after the subcategory filter is applied. That's how you can see all the 10 products coming up in this particular selected areas. Even if you just remove one or two, you will be seeing all the 10 marks in that particular areas, because this will be completely dynamic. Because whatever you select over here, that subset of data is created, and in that subset of data, it will go look for the top 10 products, and this top 10 products is completely dynamic. Look how cool it is. You just have to uncheck or check the data here. Tableau will do all the search process at the back end, and it will throw up all the 10 products related in that particular category. Even if you say one or two, let's say tables, it will go look for the tables and it will display top 10 products. Even when your data is updated at the back end, if your data is up to date, I mean, if some new data is upgraded to your data sheet, this will work because on the subset of data, you added subcategory onto your context. And every product name which is updated at the backend will have to go through that context filter and picks up the new data and picks up the top 10 dynamically. So this I will add also performance, improve your performance. It will add interactivity to your data, and it will be completely dynamic without any manual interference. This is why we use context filters in particular scenarios to make our dashboards dynamic and look interactive. So this is like all about context filters. Let's say this context filters will is actually applicable to each sheet. So whenever you're using your context filters, please be careful that that is particular to that one particular sheet. And if you want to replicate the same process with some other value, you have to be careful to actually use that particular value in the other sheet with that context. And whatever filter, if the subcategory filter is having at the main dashboard, and you have two sheets with variable scenarios of context in two different sheets, let's say you have to place the two different variables into the context in your sheets. Okay, so before displaying the dashboard, data on your dashboard, let's just play with your data and click on the filters and see how your data is appearing on your worksheet, and then present your data onto your dashboard. This is a quick advice I will be giving. I am giving to you whenever you're using a context filter. And let's not forget, this will create a subset of data to that one particular sheet, not the entire dashboard. Okay, let's move on to our next topic, calculated fields.